This is Scoreboard with Chris Titley. Powered by Swiftex. Where can crypto take you?
Hi, it's Chris Titley here, and today's episode of Scoreboard, the podcast, I'm joined by Brad Crouch. Brad, thanks so much for being part of this series.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
So we're sitting here on Friday, the 24th of April. Apart from a few technical difficulties to get onto this podcast, how's your Friday been and how's your 2026 been so far?
That's been good, mate. I've been in from early this morning, about 7 a.m. in the office, so trying to get things going before the rest of the crew get in here, because I'm not great at working with a crazy office on a Friday, so I'll try and get in early by myself.
Very good, mate. So what are you up to at the moment? What's the role? You're dressed nicely?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. I work for Colliers, so the international commercial real estate company. So I work in industrial team in the north of Melbourne. So I sort of did 3 years work experience here with one of my best mates, Nick O'Brien, who was also an ex AFL player himself when I was still playing footy, and then was lucky enough to get a role with Colliers, which is a great company to work for, and I've got a great team.
Mate, excellent. And where did that interest come from in terms of property, and how long has that been floating around in the background?
Yeah, it was, to be honest, like I always had a little bit of interest in property. Like when I was young fella, I guess playing footy and stuff, you have a little bit of access to some money and you want to invest your money and stuff like that. I got involved when I was over in Adelaide in the early stages with a developer over there that was on the board at the footy club, and did a few things with him. And I guess I tried a lot of things when I was playing as well. I tried to, I did all my coaching stuff and looked at coaching and threw that up at different stages, but sort of came to the realisation at the end that, my real interest is probably in business, and, that throughout my career sort of helped me a lot get away from footy in some ways, was to, go and explore different business ideas and do work experience in different fields, which was very helpful, and met a lot of different people.
The identity piece is something I talk about quite a lot, and I'm going through that myself as 20 years into a corporate life, and everyone sort of knew me as, the stockbroker guy sort of thing, and how's the markets, etc. For you as a footy player now, when people go, Brad Crouch, there's the ex-footy player. How do you feel about that as opposed to now, he's the actual Colliers guy?
Yeah, no, it's a tough one, especially when you're first out of the game. It's it's more so about, it's back to when you're a kid again, when you first come to a footy club, where it's like, you've got to actually earn your stripes and work hard and gain respect, and, work different ways about how to learn. And, you're still very much a rookie and earn your stripes. So it's good. And, it reminds me a lot of when I was sort of 17, first coming into footy club at Adelaide, and, asking questions and not really knowing much about what's going on, being away from home in a different environment, which is a fairly different environment to a footy club. But at the same time, I think team environments like real estate can be very similar, and there's a lot of similarities that I find in my work to a footy club, to be honest.
And the feedback you get as a footy player is generally the scoreline and your performance week to week. What about the feedback you get working in real estate?
I've definitely found probably the big thing in that is, feedback in a footy club, especially in AFL. You're dealing with not only feedback from your peers, but you're dealing with feedback from 20 million Australians that are watching the game. And you do develop pretty thick skin, which is definitely one thing I reckon that holds you in reasonably good stead. You get used to feedback. You're in a high performing environment as a footballer. You don't have time. A lot of players are on 1 year contracts. Coaches are on 1 year contracts. You just don't have the time to not give feedback, because everyone needs to get better to perform and extend their careers. So it's definitely, I feel that's almost on the high end of a high performing environment, and you're on edge all the time. There's no doubt about it. And I think for me, it's a bit different, to be honest. Like, it's not as high performing, in the real workplace, because you're not actually under the pressure of everyone else that's actually watching you day to day. or watching it actually perform on game day. So I think it does hold you in good stead, and you do get used to it. You do look back and think about some of the really good things that come out of them environments and the standards, and I think it has a huge impact and can have a huge impact in a corporate environment.
Did you ever felt like you belonged in the AFL system, or as you mentioned around the 1-year deals and things, it's almost like you kind of just trying to belong and kind of like stay around and do your best, but was there ever a point where you felt comfortable?
I think there was a couple of times, I was lucky enough to get some longer term deals, but I was never under any illusions that I had to be playing and training on the edge to be able to be a decent AFL student player. And I had, there are some players that can go out there and play with super amounts of talent. I just didn't really have that. If I wasn't bringing certain things to the games, I wasn't playing. So, which was a good sort of way to be. I had to make sure that I was always training, always thinking about ways of getting better, opening my mind to different things as I got older, particularly, and my body started to let me down bits and pieces. So I definitely found that, and I find that can translate over in a corporate environment where I think bringing your strengths is the biggest thing. Playing to your strengths and celebrating things as well. So it's it can be definitely footy can be a tough environment when things aren't going well. But to celebrate each other, celebrate your teammates, work together as a team, which is very similar to a corporate environment. And at the end of the day, you want to enjoy what you're doing. So I enjoyed my footy towards the end of my career a lot more when I started to not stress so much, care about what others were doing, and just worry about what I was doing, my actions. And it took me a while to get there.
Did you have fun playing footy?
I did. I really enjoyed game day. I love playing the game day, and I love training. Training specifically out on the ground, and the team environment really, it's you're going out against another team. It's competitive. It's built up. It's emotional. I loved all that stuff. I still do. Still play local footy, even though my body's not going that well. But I did love that environment. And, it's probably the stuff I didn't like was, I didn't like doing the weights. I didn't like doing all the meetings. I probably didn't love the actual game so much, or watching the game. I didn't really like that. But training and being, involved in something and part of the team is what I really enjoy, I reckon.
And when it comes to business life now, when you think of training, what does that look like?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. For me, training's like preparation. So it's a lot of the times it was, I guess the similarities that I find is for me when I was playing, I'd go through a routine and how I'd prepare for a game in terms of I'd want to make sure I train as hard as I can possibly, and get to the line where I know that I've done the work. And now it's over to ready to just to perform and execute. I find it so similar. It's just like anything. It's hard work. There's no magic potion. It's a bit of a Russell Line one. There's no magic potion. When people try and think that something amazing's happening, you see in footy where they're like, just a team that are doing something amazing structurally, or whatever it is. It's just there's no magic potion to it. It's just hard work, and then I find it's very similar. In my instance, it might be, making a heap of calls that might not be relevant, and then one pops through 2 weeks later that, and then you sort of make your own luck. And I definitely found that in footy would be you can prepare as well as you can. You'd be flying a training, body feeling good, in a great team, and that's still, when you get to that line, you can still sit there and not perform. And to be able to deal with that and be like, okay, well, I've done everything I can, but it's a game of footy, and it's like anything. Things can change so quickly, and it's the same in business, where you get thrown curveballs, and things don't go the way you want to go. And I feel I'm reasonably well advanced in that, being able to deal with that and stay calm, and work through things, and then just get over it quick and get back into it. Like it's the biggest thing. It's just getting over it and moving on, which in footy teaches you pretty well, because if you hold on to that stuff, and I see players holding to it, like, now I watched footy and I watched I watched some of these younger guys and the effect it may have on them early days, and it's like the quicker you can get to that stage where you can let something go and work out a solution or a step forward, it's just the way to do it. Otherwise, it's just too bloody painful sitting there putting yourself through it.
The goldfish, we talk about that quite a bit. The critics of the goldfish say they don't learn because they move on too quickly. I'm curious around you and when you did make a mistake, or maybe early on in your career you did, put your head down and maybe it did affect you a little bit, but then moving forward now, it sounds like you have a good system around things you can't control. Curious to see your thoughts on that.
No, I think it's truly interesting point. I think everyone in the back of their head, no matter what, knows that if they've been beaten somewhere where you've missed something, or you haven't prepared properly enough. Everyone knows, I think, deep down, and I think that's all right as well. Like sometimes you're better off putting your hand up. There's games of footy when I was in my younger stages, and even late in my career, I was like, I was off today. Or you can be at work. I was off today. I lost interest, and or I just decided not to do something. And I think it's also it's fine to do that. Otherwise, you're just lying to yourself a little bit. But I do like being able to move on. But at the same time, you've got to learn from the mistakes or learn from that stuff. And I think deep down you do. That's like anything. Sometimes it takes for someone to punch you in the face or say something to you, and just like it's to say, and then you go, okay, well, that'll stick in your mind. And that won't happen again, or it may happen again, but to be able to just go, no, well, I'm going to keep moving towards whatever's next, just keep moving and find a way through it. So it's interesting that I like that about the goldfish, where it's like, I understand, you can't just say, no, it didn't happen. You do have to learn from it, but I know the same thing. It's in my head. I've got things at work now where I'm like from last year, where I'm going, I should have done this, or I could have done that, or I missed that. But then to not do it, not let it happen, and just keep, and not beat yourself up on things.
Yeah, the word regret's interesting. Do you have any regrets? And I suppose, what did you learn about yourself as a footy player through all those up periods and also the injury periods?
Yeah, I don't have too many regrets. Like I had a really, like most footballers, an up and down roller coaster of a career. Like I had so much happen throughout my career in terms of my form, my injuries, what was happening around the clubs where I was at. We had people with loss and stuff like that. And I think it's a journey. Like it's like anyone. You're on a journey all the time, and you have these massive highs sometimes, and then you have these big lows. But I don't think I really regret it. I love the fact that I've been through some of that now, and I'm working in a corporate environment, to be honest. There's not many players out there that have a career just go on the one trajectory. They come up against everything, and I really do think that holds me in good stead in any working in any job or any work, or it's particularly corporate.
And then when it comes to like the big events, like the grand final, do you look back every September about being part of that? Does it get sort of a little bit better with age?
Yeah, I do. There's definitely times where I think about it. It's it's one of them things you lose something that would mean so much to you, but at the same time, it doesn't. It's not something that keeps me up at night. Same thing. We prepared we prepared really well, and we got smacked in the face, and they got hold of us. It is what it is. It's gap footy, but it's interesting because there's a lot of people now that I think a lot of players that I play with in that team that I'm really close with, and we don't really talk about the grand finals or finals. We just talk about each other's families and what they're doing for work now. and it's almost we'll only talk about a lot of the time. It's jokes we played on each other in the change rooms or what we're doing on the away trips. So it's more so about the relationships you make and know each other's families and travel together and all that stuff that really that I hold in high esteem.
Their perspective changes, I suppose, with age a little bit and timings of life. I'm curious now, were you a goal setter during your career? And if you are or weren't, what's the plan now for the next decade of your life?
Yeah, it was a bit. I probably early days when I was young, I was very intense on being the best player I possibly could be and being very rigid in my views on what I needed to do by then. And I think it can cheer you up sometimes. I definitely am a goal setter now as well. I probably with the goals, I did a course. I'm not sure if you're aware of it. I did a course when I was playing footy late in my career when I went to St Kilda called Thinking Into Results. Bob Proctor is the guy that it's sort of based off. A lot of it's around goal setting and stuff, and that really helped me. And I had it was a year sort of program, and it was pretty. We were up at three times during the week, up at 5:30 in the morning. It was more so about thinking into, and not actually putting a ceiling on some of the performance that you can actually do. So it was, for me, I'd been from Adelaide to St Kilda. St Kilda had just played in finals, and Adelaide on the way down. And I was going there to try and win a premiership, and I just wanted to, in my head, I just wanted to have, I just wanted to be part of a really good team. And it was sort of like, why are you aiming that low? Like, just being a role player in the team. And I was like, oh, well, that's actually a fair point. And it was more so about, aiming, having goals, but having a goal that's so ridiculous that if you don't get to that goal, you're still way overachieved, or you're so close to being, so much further than just sitting there and having a bar down here. And that really opened my mind up to that about, thinking big, having big dreams, goals that don't, you write down, you feel embarrassed to write down. And that was a really, really good course for me. So I do a lot of them now. I'm not telling you any of them because you'll think I'm an idiot.
I was going to say, what's the big, hairy, audacious goal now? You could keep that to yourself, but that's fine. But the ideas and creativity in and around, like, coming to the property industry a little bit from an outside point of view, do you sometimes go, actually, why do they do it this way?
Yeah, definitely. And like, just different environments, definitely. Like, AFL, especially when in my younger years, was a very confronting environment when you were, in team meetings and stuff like that, in reviews, and it has changed a lot from that. But it can be brutal. It can be a brutal environment, and that's just purely because it's like I was saying at the start, it's a high performing environment where you're just on the edge, where things can change and you can lose a contract in a day. And so, I reckon overall it puts you in good stead because, and the thing is now, I definitely find I don't have time now to not know something. I will just ask or find it out straight away because I'm sort of used to that, or give feedback straight away because I'm used to it, which I think, if given in the right way, I think it's great because it helps the whole team go forward quicker and excel quicker instead of stewing on things, which I've found definitely in the corporate environment. Sometimes things don't get knocked on the head straight away, but if you do it the right way, it's only going to make everyone better, including the person. So I definitely find that that time of not being patient, I guess, or not waiting for helping someone or asking something is probably a strength of mine, just purely because of that footy.
When are you best at clear thinking?
When I'm by myself, by myself, I think. I did the same. Like, when I played footy, I tried to meditate and do a fair bit of that stuff. Meditation wasn't my number one thing. I ended up visualization was a massive thing for me in footy, and I got really, I got the further and further I went into my career, I really started to enjoy that and find that really good for me. So I visualize still now with work, and I can do it in the car, or I can do it anytime virtually. But then I can sit there in the own room and just think, or take a breath and think about stuff, which people wouldn't think that too much about me, because I'm not normally pretty reasonably outgoing and on the go a bit, but it's the visualization of, goals. For footy, it was, thinking about things going well, things going bad, me running this way or whatever it might be. With work, it'll be, visualising me reacting to a situation, visualising me in a meeting or presenting or whatever it may be.
I'm curious around the visualisation before a game. Like, what do you visualise? How long do you visualise for? And is it something along the lines of like what if scenarios, or is it more like, we're the better team here, I think I've got the opposition?
Yeah, a bit of both. Like what if scenarios. So I'd be visualising stuff like, what happens if I cop a big knock and I'm down early, or and I've got a corky, or I'm not getting a kick. Like I used to always, a lot of the time, I'd visualise some of the stuff that wasn't going to go right, if it didn't go right, to be able to actually consistently play better footy over time, which helped my consistency a lot, because I felt that was one of my key strengths. Is my best and my worst game wasn't that far apart, and I could again put things to the side and then be able to get over it after a bad start or something happening. So that was a massive thing. And then like visualising myself at my best a lot of the time as well. So, in footy, it might be, tackling, getting up, running off, taking bounds, kicking the goal, whatever it may be. Visualising that stuff as well was probably, they were probably the main two things. And then I'd have like a self-image script of how that looks for me as well, that I'd have on a tape. Stuff like that it was very helpful. It sounds a bit, it's everything now. It sounds a bit weird sometimes, but it just was helpful in terms of getting myself in the right mindset, and then being able to again get something like that foggy state in footy where it was, oh no, now it's, and then you're not actually at your best. You're not reacting. You're not doing stuff properly because you're just thinking about how bad you're going.
Yeah, it's a bit woo-woo, some people say, but I'm interested in it. But also on the point of, did it ever play out almost exactly like things, and you're like, oh my goodness?
Nah, not really. Nah. I wish. But there was definitely times where we go, and I think this kid comes back to it, like I would prepare that well, I would feel so good, and I would, sit there thinking, well, I'm super confident. And I love that fact, that feeling of being standing next to someone and being like, okay, well, I've done everything I possibly can to be it. Now let's play, now let it go. But that still, again, doesn't guarantee anything, because you're coming up against, and that's the same in work, you're coming up against people that are looking to get an edge. So it's, okay, so we can do that, but then that's where you'll be open to find other ideas. And work with it. Like the same thing, as you know, in the world at the moment, there's forever things coming out. AI is obviously a massive thing. It's just adapt, and you have to adapt, otherwise you get left behind real fast. And that was the same in footy. It was like there's a changing game plan somewhere that, say Richmond came, bringing in 17, 18, 19, they were playing a different style, and then everyone goes that way. And it's sort of the same. It's like, okay, well, what's next? How can you get ahead? And I think that's very relevant as well in work. It's like, with the world growing and changing so fast in different ways, it's like it's a competitive environment, and you've got to be ready to go, and be ready to adapt to anything.
Mate, that's a great point in terms of not complaining or not going, oh, well, look at the lead. Oh, my goodness, this is no good. It's more like, no, this is a scenario around us. Adapt, keep going forward. Now, I do ask my guests around their love of sport and some sporting moments, and you would have had a few in your life that involved yourself, but I'm curious, what's your all-time favourite sporting moment that doesn't include yourself?
I reckon as a kid, probably one of my favourite ones was Steve Orr's 100 at the SCG.
Last ball of the day.
Yeah, that was unbelievable.
Trivia question: who was the bowler?
It was a left. No, was it Les Giles or was no? It wasn't.
No, it was. I think it was Dawson, Richard Dawson. I think it was.
But really.
Yeah, and the country stopped, and you're the first person to have this moment. It's one of my moments too, so it's awesome. Growing up as a kid, and the 6 o'clock news got delayed.
Yes, it did. I know. It's all going crazy. I remember watching your lounge room.
Yeah, and then also like you just thought he's not going to get there. He's not like this. Just a bit. The run rate's just a bit too slow, and you're like, no. Yeah. And then I think it was Gilchrist at the other end pushed the single. I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, mate. What a moment. How good. I could watch that 1,000 times over. Yeah.
I know.
We also have a couple of sponsors at Scoreboard. One is SwiftX, and they're Australia's most trusted cryptocurrency platform with over 1.5 million users in Australia and New Zealand. As part of their partnership, we run a little segment, the SwiftX Scoreboard Bucket List, and as part of their campaign, Where Can Crypto Take You? Brad, I'm curious, where could crypto take you if you had a sporting event live that you would love to attend that you haven't attended thus far?
The Masters. Yeah.
Full stop. Capital. Yes. And then you got to go on the ballot, and then you might get a day, or you might get multiple days. Like you would just take anything, right?
I'd take anything. Just be there. just for anything. I was just like watching them the other week. It's just amazing. Like I think it's just getting bigger and bigger. And it's by far away.
Mate, I heard something along the lines of like it's $1 million of merch per hour or something there. Would you be one of those people just get there and just go, I want the hat, I want the shirt, I want the tracksuit?
Oh, I'd have to get something. But it's, I think it's actually, isn't the food cheap there?
Yeah, I think that they've kept the prices. Yeah.
I don't know how that works out.
Well, I think they make the money on the merch, right?
They get you somewhere.
That's it. And speaking of money, we also have a partner in PocketSmith, and PocketSmith is the personal finance app for the household CFO, the one keeping the budget in check, paying the bills, and kicking goals over 80,000. Well, there we go. I'm going to continue on with a little spiel, but over 80,000 Aussies, including Brad Crouch, use PocketSmith. There you go. There's a little endorsement. And as part of their partnership with Scoreboard, we ask our guests about, are you the CFO of your household, Brad? Do you budget? And how well do you use PocketSmith?
That's funny you said that. I do. I do use it. I don't use it as consistently as I should, but that actually, it's a good little trigger. It's a good trigger for me. I'll be on it after this.
Well, there you go. The crew at PocketSmith will be happy with their ROI on Scoreboard. The Brad Crouch is using PocketSmith and everything. And hopefully when it comes to renegotiating the deal, this podcast goes really, really well. Shout out to PocketSmith. Now, we also have a question I ask our guests about their Scoreboard moment, and that is a moment in your life that's very visual, very clear, and then from that moment, life changed. Brad, I'm curious, what's your Scoreboard moment?
Oh. Probably when I got drafted. I was in a classroom. And I had one of my teachers run in, and I was actually, I was in the library on a computer, and teacher run in and started yelling at me and stuff. So it was actually in a trade week, so it wasn't actually on the draft. So it was like the week had been dragged out, and I knew something was going on, but I didn't know much. So that's probably the most visual one that comes to the top of my head.
Mate, what a great moment that is. Now, one final question for the aspiring footy player that is 15, 16, 17 that wants to get into be an AFL player and go through the journey that you've gone. What's some piece of advice for them?
Probably just enjoy it. Like, I think that's the main thing. I'd say enjoy it. Be a good teammate. Be good to people that help you around. Be good to staff. That's going to hold you in good stead. And then just playing wise, just work hard. There's no, like I said before, there's no magic potion. Work hard, play to your strengths. I think the more and more footy goes, the more and more I watch. I think the teammates are the biggest thing. Like, people want to play with the teams and not individuals. It's going to stand up not just for footy, but the rest of your life.
What a way to finish, Brad Crouch. Thank you so much for being part of Scoreboard, the podcast, and having a chat about your life and your journey and the next chapter forward in your journey post-footy at Colliers. And I wish you all the best and looking forward to supporting and catching up where we can.
No worries. Thanks a lot, Chris. Appreciate it, mate.
This has been another episode of Scoreboard with Chris Titley. Go back and check out some of the other episodes you might have missed.